Hi, I'm Chris Roselli.
And I'm Anna Magidson. Welcome to Western Window, a show made for you by students at Western Washington University.
This time on Western Window, we'll get an update on the Elwha Dam. We'll visit a local business to find out how Western students are helping to turn apples into income.
We'll find out more about the Native American Heritage Conference held here on campus. And we'll learn about a group of athletes who are dedicated to their sport. So stay with us as we explore our world through Western Window.
Hi, I'm here with Associate Professor Jim Helfield from Western's renowned Huxley College of the Environment. We're going to talk a little bit today about the removal of 2 dams on the Elwha River in Western's Olympic Peninsula. But before we get an opportunity to learn a little bit more about it, Western students have put together a beautiful video about the beginnings of the process before those dams were removed.
The tribes always knew that they need to take care of the environment and the surrounding areas for the purpose of just basic survival. They knew if they couldn't take care of the environment around them that they weren't going to live for very long. So they had to take care of it out of the will to survive.
What has historically happened because of the dams in the Elwha and where they were located is they cut off 90% of the habitat for salmon to use.
The sockeye and the chinook, every year they go up to the lower dam and they will literally beat their heads against the dam trying to find their way back up, which is, I think that's really fascinating because, you know, that dam has been in place for almost 100 years, yet these fish know that they want to go up into the watershed. Their instinct is to migrate up past the lower river and up into the watershed. So every year you have a population where you can just see them circling in the pool behind the dam, just waiting to try to get up. One other thing that's unique about the Northwest Forest and the salmon is that because the salmon live for several years in the ocean, when they migrate up, they're actually bringing ocean nutrients back up into the watershed. And as they swim up, spawn, and then die, as their bodies decompose or are being eaten by bugs or other species, it provides a natural fertilizer to our forest. So we actually have healthier forests because of the salmon.
In a dynamic river system like the Elwha, it's moving water, it's moving sediment, it's moving energy, it's moving nutrients from the upstream to the downstream. So you've changed that entire process. So what happened in the lower river is that all these gravels that historically were recruited to the lower river no longer were recruited, and it's basically decreased the estuary that used to be there by a significant amount. And that's a really critical area where salmon will actually equilibrate from basically being a freshwater fish to a saltwater fish. What we'll see happen when the dam is removed is we'll see that estuary expand.
By putting in a dam, you remove all of these processes that slowly act over time and you may not notice, but suddenly after 100 years you have a very different system below the dam than what you had before. And so by taking out the dams, you allow all of these processes, you allow the hydrology to restore, you allow the transport of sediments and nutrients and woods to really come back.
Even during the 1920s and 1912, when the dam was built, tribal members and the elders said it's going to destroy our fish runs. it's going to kill them off, and they voiced their opinion, but there was nobody during that time in 1912. In 1912, they weren't even considered a U.S. citizen. So there was nobody to voice their opinion to, nobody to go to make a complaint or lodge a concern.
You see a cultural shift in how people view rivers and fish and dams. It's not that dams are bad. Some dams are definitely necessary and they provide clean power, but we have lots of dams in places that probably are going to be looked at and re-examined. And the Elwha is going to be the first one of those.
You don't need to teach an ecosystem what to do. We just really need to give it the opportunity to do what it has done for millions of years. So we sometimes interject ourselves in these natural processes, and we are part of the natural process. But the reality of this situation is that once you remove those barriers, the river knows what to do, the fish really know what to do, and it's really us observing and being good stewards, with our keen observational skills and our ability to measure things to really understand what a river can do by itself.
So the Elwha Dam, this has been a long process.
This has been a very long process. I think the dam removal was originally approved by Congress in 1992, and so it's been over 20 years in the making.
And how long have you been working on it?
I've been working off and on various projects associated with the dam removals since about 2005.
Okay. And what kind of research are you doing on the dam?
The research that I've done has focused mostly on the recovery of the vegetation surrounding the dams. Now that those dams have been removed, you've got the former reservoirs, Lake Mills and Lake Aldwell, that have been drained of water. All that exposed sediment is going to be colonized by vegetation. And so for some time the park has been concerned to make sure that we can get a diverse, healthy community of plants and that it won't be completely taken over by invasive species.
Blackberries.
Yeah, exactly. It won't just be a field of blackberries and Scotch broom. So the research I've done, I worked with a graduate student a few years ago. We actually collected some sediment from the bottom of Lake Mills and conducted some studies in greenhouses to see what, if anything, can grow on that. And so the work that we did helped to inform the park's revegetation plan.
So tell me a little bit about the sediment itself. Is it rocky? It's kind of, to me, it's so interesting. I always look at a lake and I always wonder, okay, what's the bottom of a drained lake look like?
Well, when you have a dam, the most obvious thing that it does is it stops the flow of water. But when you stop the flow of water and you turn a river into a big lake, what that does is it allows a lot of fine sediment to settle out of the water and settle on the bottom. And so as a result, after 100 years of having that dam in place, the bottoms of especially Lake Mills is full of extremely fine sediment. We dug this stuff up and it's silt. It's got a diameter of about 15 microns, which is very wee. And it's essentially got two textures. When it's wet, it's like porridge, and when it's dry, it's like concrete. So it's a very tough growth medium. There are some plants that don't do well on it, but there are some plants that can survive on it, that can colonize. And actually, after 2 years, the revegetation work has been going on, and it's starting to green up. It's starting to look pretty good.
That's neat. Mm-hmm. So one of the real benefits, of course, to Western, and one of Western's real strengths is that we get professors like you who get to work with students as undergrads
That's
who
right.
get to do research. Our undergrads get an opportunity to do research that so many other schools don't get that opportunity to do.
Yeah.
And so when you're working with students, how have you used our students over these years? You've been doing this for 8 years, I think.
Yeah,
now,
about that,
so.
yeah. Well, the project I talked about earlier, that was with a graduate student, and so we involve our graduate students quite a bit also. But as you said, we do have a lot of undergrads working. For several years, Huxley had a grant from the National Science Foundation, research undergraduate education grant, and that funded a lot of small-scale projects. What we like to do is when we have a large-scale project like this, we like to find little sort of bite-sized pieces of it that we can apportion out to different undergraduates and graduate students. And so our students, as well as the students from Huxley's program on the Peninsulas, have been doing some really interesting work looking at effects on is with the vegetation removal, bird communities, We've also had some students doing some interesting work looking at the importance of all those nutrients in the salmon carcasses coming upstream. In the video, we heard them talk about that, how the salmon come up from the ocean, they bring all those nutrients in their bodies, and then when they die, all those nutrients help feed the ecosystem. And so we had a student a few years ago from the Peninsula's program.
Dissecting fish.
She was actually taking core samples from trees to see the extent to which some of these nutrients might actually be helping to foster tree growth alongside the stream. So it's all connected.
Wow. So what's the benefit of having the students come on out there? I mean, it seems like kind of an obvious question, right? I mean, it's going to benefit them, but...
Well, it's what we're here for. Our mission at Huxley College is to teach courses and conduct research in the field of environmental science. That's our mission. That's what we're here to do. And I can stand in a classroom and I can talk about something all day and I can show pictures of it, but it's not the same thing as getting out there and seeing it and actually working with the equipment and getting your feet wet and being out in the field.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, actually seeing it
Standing
in person
there
is worth 1,000 pictures. Yeah.
That's true. So the Elwha Dam, you and I, when we were talking earlier, you had mentioned that it's the largest dam that's been breached in the United States. Is that right? Or?
This is the largest dam removal project ever undertaken, definitely in the States. Probably in the world. It's the largest one that there have been quite a few dam removals in the States, but they've been mostly much, much smaller than this. This is, the Elwha Dam was about 100 feet tall, and the Glines Canyon Dam was 210 feet tall. So this is a lot of dam being removed.
So there's a lot of people on it. You're on it. Are there any other faculty here at Western?
Yep. My colleague John McLaughlin has been doing a lot of work there, looking at the effects of dam removal on bird communities, and he's also been doing some interesting work looking at how bird communities might help facilitate some of the revegetation work.
Sure.
I have some other colleagues with NOAA down in Seattle that have been doing a lot of really top-notch work on the fish recovery, the recovery of the fish populations.
Speaking of the fish, so I had heard that once they breached, fish actually started they started working their way out. They started spawning like it had never been there.
Yeah, in the field of ecological restoration, we like to say if you build it, they will come. In dam removal, it's the opposite. If you tear it down, they will come. And there's been some concern. We didn't know how quickly the recovery would take place or how quickly the recolonization would take place, but especially with all that sediment coursing through. But we've already seen a few wild Chinook and steelhead make their way up past the first dam, past the lower dam, and spawn in the Lillian River. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it is really a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for coming into the studio. One of Western's fantastic professors, very popular professor, and also an outstanding researcher, Associate Professor Jim Helfield in Western's Huxley College of the Environment.
Thanks.
Bellwood Acres, a popular orchard located in Lyndon, Washington, has recently expanded their business. Their first product, artisan vodka made from apples. A portion of the harvest of their 250,000 trees is dedicated to the fermentation, distillation, and bottling of their fruit. It's a simple process that requires a surprising amount of expertise, and Western grad students are getting some hands-on experience in this growing industry.
We can offer people a great, authentic, apple-grown spirit right here on the farm. In 2007, the legislation allowed artisan distilleries to happen in the state of Washington, and they did it because they wanted more outlets for our agricultural products. Now we have a shelf-stable product. As you know, apples are very short-lived. Well, if we can make them into spirits like vodka and gin and brandy and special liqueurs, we then have a reason for people to come on the farm year-round.
There's about 13 pounds of apples in a gallon of fresh cider, and it takes about 4 gallons of fermented apple cider to produce 1/5 or 750 milliliter bottle of vodka.
What happens to an apple during the whole process of getting it to one of these fine bottles It's actually pretty simple. We take the apple, everything's grown on the farm, they're picked, and then we press them into juice. We take that juice and we ferment it.
You combine sugars with yeast and water. Specifically for apple cider, I suppose, the sugars within the apple cider will be essentially eaten up by the yeast, and the sugars create energy for the yeast, and then the byproducts that the yeast create out of the sugars are ethanol and carbon dioxide, CO2. You can heat up that mixture of now alcohol and spent sugars, whatever's left over, and the boiling points of the alcohol will be lower than the boiling points of the rest of the mixture, water and whatever else is in there. So you can separate the alcohol by boiling point.
When you're distilling apple sugars, there's a lot of other compounds, different esters, which are a flavor compound, that will come over and actually raise the boiling point. So all that other stuff is stuff from the apples that are good to drink, that are tasty.
I think what sets us apart is that we're growing all the apples that go into it. So everything that goes into our vodka and our gin and our brandy and our eau de vie is our apples.
Difference in taste between apple vodka or potato vodka or wheat vodka is apple vodka generally, there's probably 5-10 distilleries in America that are making apple vodka that I know of, at least. There's probably more. Apple vodka tends to result in a really crisp, clean vodka. The mouthfeel of potato vodka, as many people are aware, it's kind of buttery. It kind of leaves a nice residue on your mouth. Apple vodka, it leaves no discernible taste afterwards, and there's a sweetness. There's a natural lingering sweetness.
The distillation itself produces a byproduct, and so it's apple cider and water and everything minus the alcohol. We pump it up and we bring it onto our orchard and we apply it on the grass in the orchard. So it in fact is rejuvenating our groundwater.
We have a commercial apple press that goes through about 800 pounds of apples in 30 minutes roughly. Next door to our orchard we have a dairy, and luckily enough the cows enjoy a little apple pomace in the evening, so it's not a problem. We dump our apple pomace into the feed pile of the neighboring dairy cows.
When you taste that apple right off the tree and it's just crispy and good, it makes it all worth it. And now we can take that crispy apple and put it into a bottle of vodka, and it makes a great vodka.
The Native American Student Union at Western Washington University brings speakers and events to campus that inform and educate both members and the community about important issues. At the recent Native American Heritage Conference here at Western, environmental issues, Lead No More, women's rights, and Native youth leadership were discussed.
Stephanie Petrosky, and we're having, best way to say it is like a Native American conference. It's focused on environmental issues, Native American youth leadership, women's rights, and I don't know more. It just got bigger and bigger, and we actually thought it was going to be small, and it turned out to be a huge event.
We all need clean, fresh water. It doesn't matter what color we are, it doesn't matter what gender or race or class, we all need fresh water, and that in Canada has been seriously compromised. The protection for fresh water is at 1%, and anyone can come into our communities now and do whatever they want resource-wise, and that's a big compromise to water. It's very detrimental to all of our health.
If it's coming here and it's contaminated, you're going to drink it. Our waters are becoming contaminated, and this will kill us. It doesn't matter at the border.
In 1965, I was sitting in a 5th grade class with my teacher, and he came out and told us at that time, you know, believe it or not, in your lifetime, we're going to be having to buy water off the shelves to drink. And we're sitting there in 5th grade and we're laughing at him, you know, because on Bainbridge Island we could walk up to a stream and drink out of it. You know, again, we don't inherit Mother Earth from our elders, we borrow it from our children, and we've done a poor job. We're doing a poor job. I'm embarrassed for my kids and my grandkids.
I'm here today because the problems that we have, that we face environmentally, whether it's climate change or all the associated things, the fights with it, fighting coal terminals or fighting crude by rail, realistically, we need the tribes, and we need the Native American ethics, and we need the treaty rights to be protected, and we're not going to win without working together. So success for this event is going to mean that we see real connections made between people, unexpected connections. You know, I'm a climate campaigner, it's the work that I do, but the truth is that I don't think we can win on any of these battles without also simultaneously addressing the issues of racism and sexism, economic inequality. All these things are actually tied in together, they're all part of the same problem.
All people all over the world, indigenous and marginalized, are really experiencing the fallout from economic violence. All the information is out there. Unfortunately, in Canada, our scientists have been muzzled, and our advocacy agencies have all been cut. So we don't have anyone to really fight for us except for ourselves, so we have to do that education and that advocacy ourselves.
I think that the Native Student Union, it's a very small group of people, and I think the Native population needs to be represented. I want us to all work together. That's my goal, is for everybody to work together. So I think this was a very important place to have this.
I'm Polish, Italian, Native, and Dutch. I'm registered Lummi, and I always felt connected to my tribe even though I was so far away. But to me, it's just this idea of helping out my family, and I think that's all what we all want to do.
We need to be able to communicate what's going on within our hearts and our lives, and having other people there listening and understanding what's going on, it allows us to know that we're not alone. You know, we have people from Saskatchewan here, people from Eastern Washington. I'm from from Olympia. There's someone else from Seattle. So this isn't just local. It's just a portion of what's going on worldwide.
And today, you as students, you live in a modern world where you can automatically connect with anybody in the world. You heard Nina Washday, 4 of them formed it through the computers. There's no reason why you cannot be involved and engaged. You don't have time for drugs. You don't have time for addictions and bad habits. You don't have time to be dysfunctional. The world that your children are going to live in will be determined by whether or not you stand up. Now,
We have to make action happen with that truth. We have to change the way people think. We have to change the way we live. This is going to be hard.
You never know what's going to happen. When you are touched by something, you want to learn more about it and you want to do something about it. So I hope that people can understand that we're really not trying to raise trouble. We're just trying to raise the awareness of what's happening to the marginalized and the indigenous people of the world.
I'm glad that at least we're taking initiative in Washington State, and I feel like this is the start for Washington.
When J.K. Rowling released the first Harry Potter book in 1997, nobody could have predicted the worldwide cultural phenomenon that the story would become. 6 more books, 8 movies, and a theme park later, perhaps one of its most interesting legacies is only beginning to emerge. Inspired by the magical game, Quidditch teams are popping up on college campuses all over the United States. Offering a mix of athletics and fantasy, the sport is exploding in popularity.
The president of the Quidditch team here at Western. Quidditch is a sport from the Harry Potter series that's kind of evolved in the community as a sport all on its own. About 5 years ago, people started playing Quidditch just as kind of goofing off, a live action role playing kind of thing with the Harry Potter universe. And every year it's gotten bigger. More colleges have had teams. It kind of grows further away from the Harry Potter universe and more into its own sport. Here at Western, we've had an official team for about 3 years. People have played for the last 5 or 6 years, but it hasn't officially become a club until the last 3 years. There are 4 different positions on each team. You've got a keeper, a beater, a seeker, and a chaser. The seekers are going after the snitch that ends the game. The beaters are throwing around dodgeballs at the chasers, who are throwing around a quaffle into hoops blocked by keepers. And so the point of the game is for the chasers to score goals and score as many points as possible before the snitch is caught. In fall quarter, we decided that we wanted to host a tournament here for other teams around in the Northwest and Canada to come attend. My favorite thing about Quidditch is the community. In Quidditch, you'll have a tough game where there's lots of aggression, but then as soon as the match is over, everyone's hugging each other and having a great time. So all the teams really love each other, and it's just a really great, fun community. If you're interested in Quidditch or have any questions about it, please feel free to come join and come look at us, because we love new people and love seeing new faces.
That's it for this episode of Western Window.
We'll see you next time as we explore our world at and around Western Washington University.
Western Window is proud to partner with the following student publications. Clipson magazine is published twice each quarter and includes features, multimedia, and issues that affect lives across the greater Bellingham area. You can find it online at clipsonmagazine.com. The Western Front is the official newspaper of Western Washington University, published by the Student Publications Council and funded by your advertising dollars. The Western Front. Get it first, get it right, at westernfrontonline.net. The Planet is Western Washington University's award-winning quarterly environmental publication and the only undergraduate environmental magazine in the United States. Explore The Planet online at planet.wwu.edu.